Pop-up museum involves us going outside the walls of the museum and into the community and talking to people directly about the research we've been doing.
What is this?
The people who are doing that are people like me, so Egyptologists, other curators, conservators who've been actually working directly on the objects. We can use the concept of a pop-up museum to talk about absolutely any kind of topic. We've been talking about our research on Egyptian coffins, but really it can be about anything, as long as it's work that you've been working on yourself, because you're the person who's going to be best placed to talk about it.
The Romans tended to live in the Faiyum.
We started doing our pop-up museums in 2019, and we've done about 40 of them up to now. We first started going to a town called Wisbech. It's actually in the same county as Cambridge, but it is one of the most deprived towns in the whole of the United Kingdom. The places we've been going to have been rather unexpected. For example, a supermarket, a marketplace, a shopping centre, even into a restaurant. Then we took the idea to Egypt itself, going to Cairo, where first of all we went to the Egyptian Museum and worked with our colleagues there, conservators and curators, on delivering a pop-up museum in the museum shop. And then we went out to a furniture shop in Mardi, which is in the south of Cairo. From that we went on to deliver a number of pop-up museums in Damietta, which is in the Delta.
Damietta is known for being a furniture and woodworking centre for Egypt, and they've also got a university there, and so we invited young students on the furniture courses to come and look at the tools, and they were astounded by the quality of the work that is produced with the type of tools that were used in ancient Egypt.
So in this video today, the idea is that we give people an opportunity to see the way that we go about, in a very practical way, setting up and delivering and then taking down the pop-up museum. And we're basing it on our most recent research, which has been about how the mummy portraits from the Roman period in Egypt were created. It takes about 15 to 20 minutes to set up the pop-up museum. Just stay like that, don't move. We have a minimum of 2 people and preferably 3 people. So we begin by setting up a gazebo. That keeps the sun off us and the rain. And then under that we put 2 tables in an L shape. And onto the tables we put the things we want to show people. So that includes the tools inside a display case. If we have a real object, then that's on there as well. Or we might just be using, if we're in Egypt, a copy of an object. And we put all the other things that we want people to see, like the painting activities, extra information about other objects within the museum's collection. Another thing that we have are iPads showing videos. And these are quite useful for actually showing people how things work, like the tools. At the front of the table, we put some banners to make it look like a kind of finished presentation. So people understand from a distance that they're coming to see something that's related to the particular subject. So at the moment, the banners say that it's about the Faiyum portraits, and they know from a distance what we're actually talking about. Mummy portraits are sometimes known as Faiyum portraits, and they are thin panels of wood with a painting of a person on them, very lifelike. And these were placed over the faces of mummies, which are then wrapped up with the face still exposed, so that you could actually see who was wrapped up inside.
Certainly this portrait and this portrait all come from this site. This is Hawara, which is in the Faiyum. This genre of paintings are often called Faiyum portraits, because that's the region of Egypt that they were found.
They were painted in the 1st to the 3rd centuries AD, during the Roman period when Romans were ruling in Egypt. There are about 1,000 of these still in existence, and we have a few at the Fitzwilliam Museum. There are many of them around the world in different museums, but one of the finest collections is actually at the Egyptian Museum in Cairo. So what we've got going on in our pop-up museum today is a chance for people to see a copy of a mummy portrait that is in the Egyptian Museum. They can see the complete finished version of it, plus there are some examples of it kind of underway, and finding out in general both about the wood and about the technique that was used to paint the panels.
Yeah, so these are all painted using hot wax technique, and then using traditional pigments. A lot of them are kind of earth pigments. Yeah. This is actually a vegetable origin pigment called madder, and that comes from the root of a plant. The same pigment was actually the same material used to make that cloak that the woman was wearing. So she would actually worn a garment dyed with the same material.
That's perfect. We also have there a copy of a wooden coffin that we think was actually made for a dog that people can actually take apart. It's made of cedar wood and it actually smells very strongly, so people get a chance to smell the wood as well as taking the thing apart and seeing how the Egyptians put things together. So it's a very hands-on activity. And you basically kind of make a little handle. They get a chance to make their own paintbrush and paint with it on an outline. They learn about Roman funerary practices and how those were similar and different to those of Pharaonic Egypt. Because it's a pop-up museum and going to surprise places, you're going to be surprised by the people who you're talking to. So if you've got a carpenter, you'll want to talk a lot about the tools there are in front of you. If somebody is an artist, you're going to want to talk about the paints and the techniques that were used by the Egyptians to create the decoration. So you have to be adaptable. There are quite a lot of spotty dogs at this period.
Right.
So about 4,000 years ago, that's what starts to be shown in the tombs. You cannot predict what it is that people are going to want to know, and you cannot therefore have a script that you're going to be able to work from.
The only problem with the limewood is it doesn't grow in Egypt, and so it has to be imported into Egypt.
Of course, people are going there to do what they're doing. They're going to have a meal, they may be going to do a bit of shopping. The man came into the shopping centre that we were in and he said, "I only came for courgettes." And he was so surprised to find us there with these objects that he found it absolutely wonderful, and he was with us for ages. Once you've developed your concept of the pop-up museum, you need to do some practical things. You need to make sure you've got the gazebo, the tables, the things you're wanting to display, but you also need to line up the venues. You need to go there and find the space that you want to be in. Make sure that that venue understands what you're going to be giving and what they're going to be giving. So who is providing what? It's very important also to have a contact at that venue. You need to be clear about how you are going to get the material both to and from the venue. Finally, you need to make sure that you have permission from your museum, which means you need to get permission from your director, and you will probably also need to carry out a proper risk assessment of every activity that you're doing. So we do our pop-up museums as often as we can, basically, because we really enjoy it and we get the sense that people enjoy hearing us talking about what we're doing. That means to say that over about 6 months, we've done about 24 of them. The length of time that they last can be as long as you like, but actually it's very tiring. You have to be ready for the fact that you're going to be standing up probably for about 3 or 4 hours without having a chance to sit down and get a rest. And we'd love to know how. It's really important for us to have an idea of how successful the pop-ups are. So we actually have a set of questionnaires that we can use to ask people whether they've enjoyed it. We can do observations of people to actually watch what they're looking at and see how long they're spending looking at different parts of the table where all the different things are laid out. We've also got a thing that we call a well-being chart, and that shows how people are feeling when they arrive at the table, so how happy or how sad, how tired or excited they are. And then at the end, how do they feel also? And then we write that down, and it's quite important for us to do this kind of evaluation because, first of all, it allows us to make sure that people are enjoying what they're doing and finding it useful, and it might help us if we need to change the way the pop-up runs. But also, actually, it's useful when we're wanting to apply for funding to enable us to actually do this work. So it's quite important to actually do an evaluation.
It's a very stable paint.
It makes you appreciate much more the skill of the artists, and actually to be able to make one's own paintbrush or look at the tools really brings the whole thing alive. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Well done, Fitzwilliam.
We also have small thank yous to give to people, and this is at the moment in the form of little copies of scarabs. Once we've finished with the pop-up museum, we have to take it down, and surprisingly it takes longer to take down than to put it up. So it takes about 20 to 30 minutes. The reason it takes longer is because people still want to talk to you when you've finished, so you have to start packing up while people are still talking to you. We feel very positive about the pop-up museum project, and we want to continue doing it very much. One thing that we found was that people in Wisbech were really enjoying being present at the pop-up museum. It was taking them to different places, and for some people this was actually really important for their well-being. We felt like we were providing actually a very important service, and so we want to very much continue with the pop-up museum work we've been doing.